The Lido de Paris was the longest-running musical extravaganza in the history of the American stage. When the show closed its doors this year, the oldest dancer on stage was one of these three women. Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Linda Alverson.
Number two.
My name is Linda Alverson.
Number three.
My name is Linda Alverson.
Only one of these people is the real Linda Alverson, and is the only one sworn to tell the truth. Now let's meet our panel. Actor and raconteur Orson Bean. Actress and cartoon voice Dana Hill. Co-star of Murder, She Wrote, Ron Masak. And to tell the truth's very own Kitty Carlisle. Here's the host of To Tell the Truth, Alex Trebek.
Thank you, Burton. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our show. Good morning, panel.
Good morning. Good morning.
Right now, I would like to take a moment to tell you folks at home how you can participate in a special dinner with Michael Easton, star of Days of Our Lives, or one of these four other fabulous NBC daytime soap opera stars. Get a pencil and paper ready, and a little later on in the program, I'll give you exact details on what you have to do. Now, let's get to this first story. I'll read the affidavit. I, Linda Alverson, was a member of the chorus line in the Lido de Paris in Las Vegas for 10 years. The musical extravaganza holds the record for the longest consecutive stage run in American history. There were 2 shows a night every night. There were more than 20,000 performances seen by close to 20 million people. There must have been something entertaining about our long legs, our gigantic feather headdresses, and rhinestone-studded G-strings. When we gave our final performance earlier this year, I was the elder stateswoman on the Lido row. I was disappointed and sad, but I had just learned that I was pregnant for the 2nd time. So it was about time I retired. We all cried that night, but most of our nights were filled with lots of laughter. Signed, Linda Alverson. We'll find out more about this lady of the chorus line following these messages. All right, panel, these 3 people all claim to be Linda Alverson, the queen of the chorus line in America's Lido de Paris in Las Vegas. Kitty, we'll start the questioning with you.
Gosh, you're all so good looking. It makes us feel so inferior. I don't know about you, darling, but it does me. Number one, how did you get the job?
I auditioned.
Oh, and number 2, who'd you audition for?
A lady called Miss Bluebell.
And number 3, who was your favorite performer, a star that you worked with?
Well, I worked with Valerie Perrine at one time.
And number 2, who was your favorite comedian?
I don't have one.
Let's go to Ron.
Number 1, who was Siegfried and Roy?
They were a magic act.
Number 2, who was Frederick Carr?
He was the producer of the Casino de Paris show.
Number 3, how long is the normal run for a girl?
Oh, 10 years. It's getting longer as time goes on.
Number 1, what's the difference between the nudes and the dancers?
Money.
Oh, what a great answer. Dana.
Number 3, if I wanted to go to the show, how much would it cost me?
$22.50.
And number 2, what did it start out when you started out as a dancer? I'm sure it was cheaper. What did it cost when you started?
Oh, I'd say about $18.
Okay, and number 1, what are you doing now? I know you had a 2nd child, but do you have another job in Vegas?
No, I have another child.
Number 2, how long were you a dancer altogether?
24 years.
24 years, wow.
Orson.
Number 3, the show itself ran for over 20 years, didn't it?
Well, actually, it ran for 32.
32?
Yeah.
Holy. Number 1, now, who was the headliner when the show closed?
Well, they didn't really have a headliner. There was the orangutan act. And
all right. Number 2, do you ever have trouble with your headdress in the molting season?
No, it's just keeping them on for a long time.
Yeah, and number 2 again now, do you get cold out there? Are you a nude or a dancer? Were you?
I'm a nude.
A nude? Yeah. Mercy. Well, you look good with clothes on.
Thank you for that added little point there, Orson. Time now for our panel to vote for the lady they feel is the former member of the chorus line at the Lido de Paris in Las Vegas. Is it number 1, do you think? Number 2? Or number 3? The team of challengers will receive $500 in cash for each incorrect vote with a minimum guarantee of $1,000. And if our panel is fooled completely, then the team will receive $3,000. Kitty, for whom did you vote?
Well, I'm positive this time I'm right.
Good.
I voted for number 2 because she came down those stairs like a real showgirl with panache, aplomb. She's got beautiful legs and the flattest tummy I ever saw.
For a mother of 2. Ron.
Well, number 1 knew there was about Siegfried and Roy, but didn't know about Bobby Berenson. She said it was an orangutan act. Bobby was the headliner there. Number 2 said she was a nude, and number 3 knew about Valerie Perrine, and I believe Valerie Perrine used to dance at the Lido de Paris.
Was she a dancer or one of the nudes?
One of the nudes, I believe. I didn't go to those shows. I don't know.
That was a long time ago. Dana.
In a galaxy far, far away. I was just blown, but I just must say this because I have to tell you, as a woman, I've had the biggest inferiority complex all week long because they've had the most beautiful women on, and I feel like dirt. I want those makeover women that we had on a couple of days ago to make me over. I went for number 3.
Dana, remember what one of our guests said earlier this week. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And you are a beautiful young lady.
Thank you.
With short legs. Orson?
Oh, she's no bigger than the palm of your hand. But you're beautiful. I don't want to hear any more of that from you. You're much better looking than all those beautiful women.
And taller than Tinkerbell.
No, I voted for number 2. I think that, she is erect of bearing, and number 1 didn't know about Bobby Berrettini. I'm sure that Ron only went to see those chimps when he did.
Absolutely.
All right, let's review the votes. No votes for number 1 because of the chimps. 2 votes for number 2, and 2 votes also for number 3. It's time now for us to find out who the real Las Vegas veteran is. Will the real Linda Alverson please stand up? It is number 2. All righty. Linda, were we detecting an English accent?
Yes, yes.
And since you have come to America, have you been working at the Lido de Paris?
No, I worked at the MGM Grand when it was that. Now it's Bally's, and also the Dunes, the Casino de Paris.
Let's find out who our imposters are today. Lovely ladies. Number 1.
My name is Sue Gilberg, and I'm married to a wonderful man. I have 2 handsome sons, and I'm a fabulous hairdresser.
All righty, that sounds good to me. Number 3, there were 2 incorrect votes for you.
Yes, my name is Marcia Willis. I'm a wife, a mom, and a volunteer fundraiser for a children's hospital.
Great. 2 incorrect votes at $500 apiece means the team will receive $1,000. Thank you so much for being with us on To Tell the Truth. We'll be back with a man who may have the answer to cleaning up massive oil spills right after this. Now, let's meet our challengers.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Carl Oppenheimer.
Number 2.
My name is Carl Oppenheimer.
Number 3.
My name is Carl Oppenheimer.
I, Carl Oppenheimer, am a microbiologist. You'd have to be living under a heavy rock in a very deep cave not to be aware of the pollution problems facing us in our world today. Well, I think I've done a little something about it. For 20 years, I've collected microbes, and now I've used them to successfully get rid of waste. They are called bioremediates. When sprayed into contaminated water, microbes digest oil and break it down so that it can be harmlessly consumed by marine life. We used it to clean crude oil off seabirds, and it can be used in household septic systems without environmental damage. Recently, my microbe system was successful in the cleanup of a major oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. But now we're hoping to apply the Oppenheimer formula to remove the massive oil spill in the Persian Gulf and surrounding area. Signed, Carl Oppenheimer. Welcome, gentlemen. Obviously a subject that will have a great deal of impact on the world. Orson, start
Thank
us
you,
off.
Alex. Yes, I'm fascinated. I always picture these as Pac-Man, eating everything. Number 1, are they little creatures? What are microbes exactly?
Well, I guess they are little Pac-Man. They're small unicellular organisms.
Well, number 2, then, do they ever get full? I mean, do you ever put them in and say, I just had oil, I can't eat another thing?
No, what they do, they split, and about every 15 seconds, and you have 1, and you have 2, then you have, it's still multiplying.
Well, 3, could they ever get to the point where they eat Cleveland or something? I mean...
No, when they get all of their food chain eaten up, then they die. And
Oh, that's so sad. Do you give them names or anything?
No. Dana, let's go to you for the next question.
Number one, how large is the spill in the Persian Gulf?
Between 100 and 200 square miles.
And number two, how many microbes do you have to release in the water to take care of a spill that size?
Oh, many, many tons. It'll be a very large number.
Okay, and number three, how did you discover that microbes ate oil?
well, there's microbes all over the world, and they feed on their own food chain. There are many different microorganisms. And I've been working for 20 years in the microbiology field, and I worked on this in the laboratory and in research and collected the specimens from all over the world and found the ones that attacked the hydrocarbons.
Okay.
All right, Ron, let's go to you now.
Number one, why can't we just burn the leaky oil? Why can't we just start it on fire?
Oil doesn't burn very readily on water.
Number two, 20 years ago, you didn't think about oil spills when you started collecting these. What were you going to do with them?
Well, 20 years ago, I was just a teacher, and that time, I was not really thinking about the usage.
Number three, we're cleaning off the birds. How long does it take you to clean off an animal that is covered with oil with your product?
Well, it takes only really about 10 minutes. We put it on in a paste formula that goes over the bird and let it sit there, and it eats up the oil, and within a day, it's back clean and flying again.
Bless you.
Kitty?
Unbelievable. Number one, do you grow these, or did you find them, or how did you isolate these microbes?
They were isolated from all over the world, and they're grown in large cultures.
Number two, it's an absolutely fascinating thing. I was told that you could biodegrade plastics with microbes, but now they say it won't quite work. Is that true?
That's true. You cannot do plastics.
Number three, how long will it take you to find some kind of a microbe that'll eat up the plastics?
Well, I really don't know. The plastics, as you know, do come from hydrocarbons or petrochemicals, but there's so much additive in there to make it into a plastic that we'll just have to keep researching until we find the microbe that'll do it.
I thank you.
Time's up, panel. You have to vote for the man you think is the real microbiologist. Who is it? Number one? Is it number two? Or is it number three? Great story. Orson, for whom did you vote?
It's an absolutely phenomenal thing and a great invention, a discovery. I voted for number two.
All righty. Dana?
They all gave wonderful answers, and of course, it's been so many years since I've been in science. But I went with number two because he seemed to nod about the plastics even before Kitty finished getting the whole question out. So I went with number two.
Oh, silly one. This crack staff teaches everyone to nod. I was more impressed that the liars learned all those big, long words.
So who did you vote for?
I voted for number one because he was a quiet hero. Most of our scientists are quiet heroes. Just
Sort of liken him to John Wayne, in other words.
Well, that's it.
All right. Kitty, who did you vote for?
I have never known a better trained group of liars. They were just sensational. But I voted for number one because I think he had the information at his fingertips.
All right, let's review the voting. 2 votes came in for number one, 2 for number two, no votes for number three. I have in this beaker in front of me, ladies and gentlemen, some powdered microbes, I guess. And now it's time to find out which one of these gentlemen is responsible for this. Who is the real microbiologist? Will the real Carl Oppenheimer please stand up? It is number one. All righty. We'll get back to you in a moment, sir. Number two, who looks so knowledgeable. Who are you and what do you do?
My name's Jerome Collins. I'm a retired engineer, and I have 2 sons, and I like to travel.
Well, nice having you with us today. Number three, you got no votes, but by golly, you sure impressed me with the way you were talking about this subject. What do you do? Who are you?
My name is Jim Moyer, and I'm a commercial airline pilot.
Well, you were well trained by our staff. There were the 2 incorrect votes, and that means the team will receive $1,000. Now, Mr. Oppenheimer, tell me about what's in here, this powdered stuff.
The powder there has about 1,000 trillion bacteria per teaspoon, a highly concentrated group of microorganisms that rapidly break down oil.
All right, well, let's take a look at some of the pictures you brought along here because this is a fascinating subject. What are we looking at?
You're looking at a section of the Texas coast with Galveston just up above the center. The dark stippled area was about 50 to 75 square miles of oiled surface of the ocean. We treated the area, about 40 acres, in that point where arrow shows up. This is a picture 24 hours later.
Wow.
Showing the amount of oil that was consumed in that period of time by the 40 acres. And as a result of this, no oil reached the coast, although it was predicted that it would contaminate.
Well, good for you. And I hope you make a lot of money on this, but don't charge us too much for the service. Thank you for being here, gentlemen, on To Tell the Truth. When we come back, we'll be playing one-on-one with someone from our studio audience, and I'm going to take this home. One-on-one time. Burton, who do we have today?
Today, Alex, we have Mark Bates from Newhall, California.
Welcome aboard, Mark.
Hi, Alex.
I'd like to introduce a young lady who has 2 stories to tell. Folks, please welcome Kelly Miller. Mark, if you're familiar with the program, you know the drill. Kelly will tell us 2 stories, only one of which is the truth. You spot the true story and you win $500 in cash. Well, let's hear the first story, Kelly.
I babysit Matthew Alexander Trebek. I'm Alex Trebek's babysitter.
All right, that may or may not be the truth, as you know, Mark. So let's listen to story number 2. Kelly?
I like to talk to people. I am the host of my very own TV talk show.
To help you make up your mind, Mark, each of our panelists will get to ask 1 question. First of all, Kitty, the story on the babysitting.
What kind of a father is Alex Trebek?
Oh.
He's a very good father.
Thank you.
What
Thank
kind
you.
of a tipper is Alex Trebek?
Not much. Not much. Very calm.
Dana?
Alex Trebek has a daughter. Do you know her name?
Nikki.
Orson?
How many diapers a week does the baby use?
Wow, I don't know. Quite a few.
1. Does this boy have a problem or what? Now let's get to story number 2, the talk show hostess. Kitty, once again.
Where does one see your talk show?
In a bunch of different cities.
Where?
Ron?
Who was the most interesting guest you had on?
Jay Thomas?
Dana?
How long have you been hosting your own talk show?
Around a year and a half.
Orson?
Is this geared towards teenagers in high school, or what is it?
Both teenagers and adults.
All right, Mark, you've heard the cross-examination. Up to you now to tell us, does Kelly babysit my new son, Matthew Alexander, or is she the talk show host?
Well, she seems like a talk show host, so I'm going to go with that.
All righty. Kelly Miller, what's your true story?
To tell the truth, I am a talk show host.
And good for you, Mark. You've just won yourself $500 in cash. Congratulations. Thank you for playing one-on-one. Kelly, are you an issue-oriented talk show host or a personality talk show host?
Personality.
Who are some of the stars you've talked to?
Jay Thomas, David Silverman. I've had a whole bunch of shows.
I'd love to have you babysit Matthew Alexander anytime you want.
Well, I'd love to.
And I'm not that bad a tipper. We'll take a break. Here are those rules on how you can participate in our dinner date with your favorite soap opera star. We'll see you all tomorrow.
If you haven't been watching Playmania, here's what you've been missing.
We are going to have a play-off. Bring it on. We're looking for a top 5 show.
Seinfeld.
Woo! One for me!
Playmania, get on it. Live, late night tonight at 1 a.m., 12 Central, only on GSN, the network for games.
GSN,
The network for games.